Mhm. Directing. Yay. I think we're live, y'all. I
Yeah,
think we're live. I think we're live.
yeah,
Happy April 4th,
yeah.
everybody. Looks like YouTube is streaming. Yes, we are live. Okay, so welcome everybody to the PMP Study Group channel. We are so glad you're here. This channel is dedicated to helping others who want to study for their PMP. So you're in the right place at the right time. My name is Fia O'Loughlin, and I am currently serving as a course director. Basically, that means that I manage curriculum development and I teach IT courses for different colleges and universities. My co-hosts are going to introduce themselves as well.
Well, that would be me. I guess I'm next. I'm sorry, forgot
Yeah,
the
take it
sequence.
away, Corey.
I'm Corey Petway. I am a director of operations for a nonprofit in Brooklyn, New York, and the PMP was very helpful, instrumental in helping me to do what I do as a professional with my team, and I'm so excited to be able to talk about it today.
Cool.
Hey everyone, my name is Wendy Stewart, and I am a senior technical project manager working for a software company and just supporting the teams with initiatives, making sure that we meet deadlines and basically keeping the teams organized.
All right. So we are celebrating 1 year later, and we have a series of questions we're going to go through just to kind of reflect and reminisce and remember what it felt like to get our PMP certification last year. So the first question is, what worked for us while studying individually? So this is before the study group. We were kind of just doing our own thing individually. And so we're going to ask Corey to go first in terms of what was working for him.
Yeah. Um, yeah, what worked for me? Well, you know what? I also want to say something because I think I was supposed to say this earlier about how we met, right? Can I
Yeah,
say that now?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to give a little context to all this. So we didn't all grow up in the hood together, right? Like we
We
didn't
didn't
all
know
go to
each
school together, like, right?
other.
So we met each other in a study group. To get your PMP, you have to do a study group, at least, or if you got prior experience or something like that. But we all fell in that category where we would study for in this group. The cohort was it was a lot of people in the course, and it was being taught by TIA and this guy Andrew, forget his last name. What's his last name?
Ramadan?
Ramadan.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I get always get that mixed up. So yeah, they had a great course, and that's how we kind of got to know each other. So it was what? How many weeks was that? 10 weeks?
5 weeks.
5?
5.
No, but
Yeah.
it
I
really
think we
felt.
took it multiple times.
Yeah, but it was like twice a week, right?
It was five
Yeah.
weeks, twice a week,
Yeah.
and the course, the time for the session that we had, I think it started at 6 p.m.
Right.
Eastern and it
Yeah.
ended at 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
late because I used to eat dinner, right? Like around 8 o'clock while the camera was off, just.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, it was cool though. So that's kind of how we kind of got to know each other through this group. And then, we said, what happens now? We need to a little bit more when it was done. How can we get closer to the finish line? And as someone sent out a message at the end of the class and say, hey, you guys want to form a study group? Anybody who's interested, kind of like raise your hands, send an email or something like that. And we were the three that was left out of the group, right? And we decided to get together and form a study group. So that is how we got together.
Yes.
So, right,
Yay.
right. So now let me also tell you, right, what worked for us while studying individually. So let me just say that. Start off with me. What worked for me, uh, definitely the study group, definitely, setting aside time during the week, as much as possible. I'm a commuter, so I would listen to audio books. Audible has quite a few different series where you could listen to questions and answers on the PMP. So I was
Mhm.
able to do that, and that was very helpful. And just, individual studies, as you would imagine, just opening up books, making flashcards, and just quizzing myself. So those were things that were helpful for me individually.
Okay. All right, you want me to take it away, Corey?
Yeah. Wendy's next. Go, Wendy.
All right, so very similar to what Corey mentioned. I just to kind of give you a little bit of a backstory. I had been thinking about getting my PMP certification for many years, had heard a lot of rumors about how difficult it was and the training and having to have, certain amount of experience before you could even sit and be approved to take the exam. And I just made the decision last year that I was going to commit and I started on that journey. So some of the things that really helped me um, was obviously having a group where I could have accountability and sharing ideas and resources. And I'm really hoping that you guys listen to the end of this video because we are going to be having a cohort of a study group. If you need information about passing the exam, like and subscribe and stay until the end so we can provide that information to you.
Well, let me ask you something, Wendy. How
Mhm.
much is it going to cost them?
It's not going to cost you anything.
Free?
We want to give back. We feel like we had a method that really worked.
Right,
And we all passed.
right.
One and done.
Hmm.
So
And
this is,
you killed it, by the way. You got like all ATs. I'm just saying.
but we all passed, and
You
that's really
passed, right?
what
That's what
matters.
counts. Right.
That's what
Yes.
matters, that we
That's right.
all
Nobody's gonna
passed.
ask you,
One
hopefully.
and done, which was the commitment. We wanted to focus,
Yeah.
do the studying, pass the exam so that we could move on with our lives. And that's
Hmm.
exactly what we were able to do.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and I say all of the above. Same for
Mhm.
me, except mine was a little different in terms of the backstory. I started in let's see, August 2024, and I was like, you know what? I need to just take as many classes as I can. And so for me, it was a little confusing as to what classes to take, um, which courses to join. And so I went with PMI's partner called PM Training. PM Training is one of their approved partners, I guess. And so I paid for their live course first. And so the thing I liked about that is it was live during the day. I'm a morning person, so I was great. I was like, this is great. It's Zoom during the day. So I took that course. It was about 6 weeks. I initiated a study group in that course. There's about three of us. But the focus of that first class that I took with PM training was, hey, let's hurry up and get our PMI application approved. So we really weren't studying as much as we were, hey, comparing notes on how to best make sure our applications, were set up and everything. And so I got my application approved by PMI on Halloween, which was awesome. The other
Scary.
two got theirs approved as well. And so we started meeting as a study group, but then the holidays were rolling around. So right
Mhm.
around Thanksgiving, I think we stopped meeting. And their work schedules got busy, mine got busy, and we were just like, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna stop here. Um, And so then I was like, I need another class because I'm not ready. I spent all my time trying to get my application ready, trying to make sure I could find another class and study more and actually dedicate to that. So that's how I met these two wonderful people. And that was how I individually started out. And for me, it's very similar to everything they mentioned. Write down stuff. I was recording stuff verbally by recording it on my phone and listening to it. Same study techniques. And here we are.
Yeah. I like that idea though. That was helpful to me too, that when you record your own voice and do uh the repetition, and listen to yourself do it. When you hear yourself say it, it's something about it like making an impression on your memory.
Yeah, yeah. It's something about writing it, hearing it, and seeing it.
Right. Yeah.
Like three different, yeah, for learning purposes. Yeah.
So the
So
next
know
question.
your learning style.
Yeah.
That's a
So the next question
yep.
that I'm going to bring out to the team. So let's throw this out there. What worked for us as a team while studying for the PMP? And by the way, we did this in 2024, so it's all
I know,
fresh with
right?
us. Like she said, this is a year ago, but like Fia said, it was a year ago. So tell us what worked for us. So I guess who's going to go first?
I
So
can.
yeah, Wendy, go ahead.
Yeah, Wendy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So what worked for us as a team? I think one of the main things that worked with us as a team is that we all had the same level of commitment.
Mhm.
We all had a
Mhm.
very strong commitment of
Yes.
we want to pass this exam. And it also worked out that we had the exam scheduled. So
Hmm.
that gave us a date to work towards. I feel like if you take the course and you don't commit to scheduling the exam, it's easy to sort of fall out of your practices that maybe you picked up when you were taking a course or studying. It's easy to sort of fall out of a routine. So the fact that we all had the exam scheduled and we had a date that we were trying to commit to
Mhm.
forced us to really buckle down and make sure that we had good practices, that we were, we were communicating on a regular basis and really committed to passing.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a big part of it. Absolutely. Um, the scheduling of the exams, I feel like it probably is the biggest one because I kept hearing instructors say, schedule your exam. The sooner you schedule it, like the more likely you are to follow through. And they were right. They were so right. I think I was the first to schedule mine, and then the stars aligned, right? And we all were able to get our exams on the same day.
Yeah.
Right.
So that little piece right there is
Yeah.
like that being possible
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
is like, I don't know. I don't want to say one in a million, but I don't know. Like,
Yeah, because if I recall, the two of you, it just happened to be a coincidence that the two of you had the same date.
Right.
I was going on the website on a daily basis to get a date. And
mm-hmm.
I believe that I probably was able to get a cancellation and I saw that they had April 4th and I was like, oh wow, they have, that same day. Let me go on ahead and grab it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we're not in the same city. So that's another
Right.
thing.
And that's what I mean. It's like,
Yeah, what are the
yeah,
chances?
because people were saying, hey, it's hard to get a date, that
Yeah.
close.
Right.
Which
For
it
2 months,
was.
I think.
I
Yeah.
I believe I was checking 4 to 5 different locations
Mm-hmm.
that were in my surrounding area
Yeah.
to see if I could get a date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'm
And
glad you did. Yeah.
so, let me, before you finish, Fia, it's important to also note that there are two ways you could take the exam. You could take it
Mm-hmm.
proctored on your home computer or wherever,
Right.
or you can go into the facility, which we all chose to go into the facility, which made it harder for us to actually get a date. So to put that in
Yeah.
context.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that is true.
Absolutely. And I would also say daily accountability. Once we did get together and we were, we knew our dates, we knew we were serious, and we only had 2 months from the time that we formed together. We formed the group together. Um, that daily accountability really helped me out. Because if you're working a full-time job and you're trying to study, and it's real easy if nobody's reminding you at first to get into the muscle memory of it and the sync, get in sync. So that was really helpful, the daily accountability. And then just feeling like you're not alone,
Yeah.
right? Because you're
Yeah.
gonna experience emotions, and if you're having a down day, right, or you didn't
Mhm.
you didn't do too well on an exam,
Yeah.
it's really helpful to have somebody, you're sharing
You mean the
your
mock exams,
what you're
right?
going through. Yeah,
The-
mock exams.
right.
Yeah, right. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
Just the test that Andrew's class offers. Any other test, I forget the other tool we used.
Mhm. Study
What was
hall?
it? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
So when you're having a down day and those emotions start, you're already stressed about your full-time job or whatever, and you got
Right.
family, whatever. So yeah, just having somebody to encourage you and say, keep going, you got
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
like, and being able to give that back to others. That's what study, I mean, that's the power of study groups.
And that was
Uh,
also good because I remember when we were, because we shared a group, a message group together. And so we would, message one another. And like you said, Fia, sometimes when I'm just not feeling it, I would see a message and you guys would say, hey, I just got like an 80 on the mock test, study hall test. I'm like, oh,
mhm.
snap, I got to get on it, because we
Yeah,
all had the
yeah,
same sense of urgency. It was like, like Wendy said, we were committed, and so we were just kind of urging each other on. It was really exciting. I'm a competitor. You know what I mean? I'm one of those guys who are like, oh, you did it. All right, so let
right.
me let me do it now. It's
In
like
a
that.
good
So that's
way.
kind of how it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Competitive in a good way
Sure.
because it makes you want to do better.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And iron sharpens iron.
that's right.
So,
Yeah.
again, we were all very committed. And
Mhm.
I feel like if you want to pass this exam on the first try, you owe it to yourself, if possible, to put as much as you can into it.
Mhm.
And then you will pass.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
it is
Right.
definitely not an exam that you can go into ill prepared.
Right.
Even if you
Right.
think you know project management or you work in a project management role, if you are not using the terms that
Talking it out.
PMI,
Right.
their standards,
Mhm.
Mhm.
you will not pass the exam.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have to be committed to learning that PMBOK body of knowledge. What is it? The PMBOK, the
Mhm.
Yep.
Pimp my
Yep.
project
guide.
management.
Mhm.
You have to be on top of their terms, their methodology,
Right.
in order to really prevail. So
Mhm.
yeah.
So important right there. That part right there, because it's just different from the real world. Um,
Yeah.
Without saying too much more. But
Yeah. Yeah.
you gotta learn it PMI way.
So I jumped in on you there, Fee. I'm sorry. Are you still going?
Oh no, I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah. So
No.
I'll tell you from my perspective, just following up from what Wendy and Fia said, what worked for us as a team. And I agree everything they said. And I don't have much more to say except uh, just kind of saying you got to be all in. I think for us, uh, when we were just, like we got that same date, it said a lot to us. But what also worked, I remember, is we were all committed and we said there was a period of time after you finished the study group, the instructor said, guys, you got to schedule your test within this window of time because if you don't use it, you're going to lose it, that kind of thing. So I think that was the urgency that we had. And it was like, okay, so we're done with this group. How long are you going to, we kind of did a poll among ourselves. When are you going to take the test? Looking at, our schedules and what we felt like doing. So guys, we finished the test, finished the 35-hour class in February, was it, or March?
I
Um,
believe it was in February.
yeah, we
Yes.
finished in February, and then we actually started study group March the 2nd.
Oh, right. So
Yeah, that
we
was
were
our
like, it
first.
was like 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an intense four
Yeah,
weeks.
it was crunch time.
Yeah. So what I say what worked for me, worked for us as a team, in my opinion, it would have been that we saw the time window, we gave ourselves goals, we met, which was really helpful. We met via Zoom once a
Mhm.
week, right? And you guys were so merciful because I'm a commuter. Sometimes I was on the train making all kinds of noise, and they would be like, "Yo, Corey, can you mute your because it's too loud. We're trying to study." But this is what we had to do. If you're committed, you got to be committed. So that's what
Yep.
that's what I would say that was really helpful for us as a team, being committed.
Yep, absolutely. All right, we're ready for the next one?
Yes, let's go.
Okay. So I think Wendy's on.
Okay, so how did it feel to finally pass the PMP? Who wants to go?
Ooh, I got a lot to say. Not really a lot to say, except don't do what I did, y'all. So, well, first of all, I schedule mine because I'm a morning person
Mhm.
for 8 o'clock in the morning. And that was perfect. So I got there like uh 6 o'clock in the morning before they even opened the building. By the way, I had also visited the testing center. That was huge for me.
Mhm.
Just visualizing the testing center, and I'm a big affirmations person. So I was like feeling, really confident until the day of, right? So the day of I got nervous. Like I was had so much excitement
Mhm.
that I made myself nervous and decided to drink coffee on top of already being nervous,
Oh my
right?
God.
So you got to know and I knew that was a bad idea, but I was just like, just in case, I'm feeling sluggish because it's early, whatever. I'm a morning person, but I just I started overthinking.
Mhm.
So I drank this coffee and got in there. I was feeling good. Everybody was nice and took my picture, whatever we had to do to get in and get situated. And I sat down to take my test and I froze for the first 10 questions.
Oh,
Ugh.
yeah.
Y'all, that is because I wasn't concerned about the money, right? Paying
Mhm.
the test and all that other stuff but it was just like it felt like the hardest part of the test came first for me. So I froze for like the first, I would say 15 questions. And all I could do was just keep reading the questions over and over.
Wow. Yeah.
And what made it even worse was that by the time my first set of questions was done, I was so far behind that I had my little break and I was just mentally trying to figure out how am I going to do this? Because I had already, Wendy and Corey, we had already kind of figured out what the numbers are and where you should be after the first set and all this good stuff.
Yeah. You mean the minutes, right? The minutes and the
Yeah, where
question.
should the
Yeah,
timing, how many minutes should you have left after that first set? And
that's important.
I was not near what I had planned. So I had to double time it the second set. And I will say to my relief, I got a little relief because it did get easier.
Mhm.
But by the end of the exam, I was answering questions right up to the second. I think I might have had a minute left. And I still don't even know how I had a minute left because anyway. So I didn't feel good after the exam was over.
Mhm.
All I could say to myself is, I think I passed. I think I passed. I think I passed. And I walked out, got my paper. I didn't even look at it. I just folded it up. I went to the bathroom and cried because I didn't even know if I passed. I was just like, what was that? Like in my head, I was like, girl, what was that? I'm literally in the stall, in the bathroom crying
Oh.
because I didn't know for sure. And I was just like, oh, that just didn't feel like my best.
Mhm.
And I said, you know what? It is what it is. These people can't see me crying. I had
Mhm.
my shades, my sunglasses. The memories are flooding back now. I had my sunglasses and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna wipe my eyes, put my shades on and read this paper. If anybody sees me walking out the bathroom, they won't be able to tell that I've been crying. So I looked at the paper and it said pass, and I almost fell to the floor, y'all. I,
Wow. Yeah.
and so yeah, long story short, I ran to the bank, called my husband, and I was just venting. Thank goodness for my husband. But
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I felt so much better after talking to him, and I just big relief. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Is um,
I know the feeling.
if you freeze like I did, don't stop.
Mhm. That's a good
Just
point.
just trust me, because you might get the hardest part of the exam at first. And
Yeah.
don't, obviously get yourself all worked up like I did with the caffeine and whatever. But yeah, relief. That's all I can say.
Yeah. I think relief is good segue to how I felt. Relief is for sure. We know it was 180 questions and they were all multiple choice. And so that makes life a little easier when you know you're dealing with multiple choice, but does it
Mhm.
really? Because they weren't easy questions, They threw a lot of curveballs, the red herrings in there. So you have to really know the methodology of PMI, like Wendy said earlier. They have a certain way that they think and they want you to think. And so, you don't approach the answers to the questions like you would, because you do this every day. Everybody's different. So that's kind of we study according to that kind of mindset. And so it was a challenge going through the test, trying to, decipher between how PMI wants you to think and how I would handle it as a project manager. So by the time I got through the test, uh, there were some things that were just, oh, I know that one. That's easy. We studied that one. Oh, I remember seeing that one on Study Guide, on Study Hall. Or I remember I saw a question like this on YouTube that I was watching YouTube videos on questions and answers. So there were some things that came to mind, but I honestly tell you, like Fia said, by the end of it, I didn't know if I passed. I really did. It was like, oh, I felt bad because not like Fia, I didn't have uh, a few minutes left or a minute left. I literally finished the test at the very second that it was over. And by the time I looked at the clock, a bunch of them I had to breeze through. Like it was a mess. By that time I did not think that I could have passed that exam. And so in terms of my feeling afterwards, I felt so relieved because as Fia said, I did not want to take this thing again. I just didn't want to because that would mean, I put all of the effort into it. And I was, we were all just really committed. So I got to say, though, if we hadn't done what we did, meeting together in a study group, I honestly can say I don't think I would have passed it. I don't think I would have had that in myself to have
Same
that
here.
kind of drive to get to the end like that. So I'll turn it over to you, Wendy.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. The study group definitely helped elevate me in terms of my studying habits. But the same, very similar to what Corey and Fia mentioned. I was super nervous going into the exam. My exam was actually scheduled like mid-morning, so I think I was around like 10 o'clock in the morning, and I remember getting up that morning and I was studying till the very end. I took like a practice exam the day before, and then that morning I was just doing like questions. I was super nervous going in. And when I got in and actually started taking the exam, I sort of had the reverse of what Fia experienced in that first set of questions that I had were the easy questions. So I felt like I breezed through that first section with limited issues. And I had my more difficult block for the very, very end. So I remember that last section that I got to, I was very nervous because I had marked some questions that I wanted to go back to and review. And so then I was worried, am I going to have enough time? My heart was pumping. And I probably finished with, I don't know, maybe a minute or two left. It wasn't a whole lot of time.
Mhm.
And I got the piece of paper and didn't look at it until I got to the parking lot. And then I had an experience very similar to Fia's, in that I looked at it and it said I passed, and then I started crying like, oh my God, I can't believe, because I didn't feel super confident coming out of it either, because you really just don't know. And then
Yeah.
I believe that PMI, there's a certain number of questions that they put in the pool as samples.
Yeah, some of them don't
Um,
count.
right. So you
Mhm.
don't know whether or not, like if you answered a question that was very, very difficult, whether or not that was one that counted, or whether or not that was one of the sample questions.
Right.
So yeah, it was a very stressful experience for me. And I wouldn't consider myself like a good test taker. But I knew I had put in a whole lot of time and effort. And like Corey, I didn't want to have to take the exam again if I could avoid it.
Well, you guys said you both cried when you got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I might have shed a tear. I'm just saying, I might a little tear might have
Ain't
came
no
out.
shame. Ain't no shame. Ain't no shame.
Tear
But
might have
you
came
know
out. I'm just
what?
saying.
You know what? I don't care how much you prepare.
Yeah, that was hard.
You are
I
not the emotional part of it.
yeah.
You really can't. I mean, I was up at 3 a.m. a lot, like taking exams, trying to mimic the situation that would be
Mhm.
at the test center. And
Yeah.
I didn't have nothing near the emotions that I had on the day of. So
Mhm.
just just hold tight when you get there. Like you've prepared, but there's gonna be this extra thing that
Yeah.
comes. And you gotta be prepared to say, everything's fine, keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. Keep
Everything's
going.
fine, keep going.
Yeah. And I gotta can't stress enough. Time management is important, right?
Mhm.
Literally
Yes.
managing the clock. Maybe in the future episodes we can dive into deeper with some numbers and where you should be halfway through, because you get a break in between. But where you should be at the break, what number how many minutes you should be per question. That was key because actually literally wrote it down. And I said to myself, oh boy, I'm behind looking at the numbers. So let me step it up. So like I said, I finished at the very second. So if you imagine, if I hadn't managed the time, there would have been quite a few questions I may not have gotten to. So
Mm.
Yeah.
again, that was
Yeah.
emphasized in our study group. We talked about that at length.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that whole I'm gonna write something down so I can remember.
Yeah, right. Brain that brain
Oh,
dumping
on
thing.
the scratch pad
I
that
did
they
not do
Yes.
no scrap, y'all. I
Yeah.
I did not have time. Like I was too
Yeah.
nervous.
That took away some
I
time. I
needed
did
all
that.
my time. What'd you say?
I did it, but I don't know if that really helped me at all. Because
Yeah, I needed my time, and I'm
did
glad
you?
I did.
How about you, Wendy? You use that brain dump?
I didn't use the scratch pad at all. I don't think. Yeah.
The only thing I used it for was writing down how many minutes I had left, like so
Mm,
that I could visually see myself doing it.
mhm.
Right, right. Yeah, that was good. That was what I wrote down too. I did try it, but didn't help me at all.
Wendy, you were gonna say something else?
Yeah, no. I didn't use it, and I was prepared to use it, but when I got in there and I sat down, and like that clock starts and you're just like, let me just start answering questions. So I
Yeah.
Mhm.
I didn't want to take away from the exam time with trying to rehash everything that was in my head. And
Hmm.
that ended up being a good choice for me. So I'm glad I didn't, waste time writing a bunch of stuff down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Can I
So,
say this
oh,
too?
go ahead.
So there's a bit of a hack that I learned, and I use this to my advantage. So When you first sit down, they give you about 5 minutes of
Mm,
instruction, and you have your scratch pad in front of you. When you're sitting down at the computer, you can choose to use that time to read the 5 minutes of test instructions, or you could use it to, let me say, do the instructions and do your brain dump at the same time.
yeah.
So that
Yeah.
does save you a few minutes. So if you're like me, where you're struggling with time, that might be a good opportunity if you decide to kind of read it or not, brain dump, but you do have a few minutes before that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like I didn't do the brain dump during that time either. I used it for deep breathing and
Mm,
saying my affirmations
yeah.
because yeah,
Can I
I
tell
need
you?
to calm myself down. So I use that time to calm down.
So
As
the
much
deep
as I do.
breathing thing, I was doing that too, but I was doing the deep breathing thing a little too loud
You know, I
because
thought I was too. We got to move on to the next question. But
yeah,
let
yeah,
me say, I literally was reading the questions out loud, y'all.
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
whispering, but it was getting to the point where I thought they were gonna come and say something. They never did. They never did. I thought I was too loud.
No, I
I was
was. They tapped me.
like, that's the only way I could get through each question fast is to say it with my lips and let
Right.
my brain catch it at the same time.
Yeah.
And it worked. It worked. So
Yeah.
oof, we could go on and on for that
Yeah.
last question.
Yeah.
How did it
Yeah.
feel to finally pass you? We could do another video on that.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
we now a year later, 2025, April 4th. Who wants to go first?
So where are we now?
Where are we
Well,
now? Like just in terms of your work projects and
yeah.
your PQs and how you feeling
Yeah.
professionally.
I'll take that. So uh it's helped me a lot, as I said earlier in my introduction. I think that I'm a better project manager, operations director, and even, just with other things in life. Uh, this whole process has helped me uh, think critically, helped me to be more sequential. One of the things you learn when you take the PMP is to assess a matter before you make a decision on something. So we don't just act, we assess it. And
Mhm.
you evaluate, assess. Those are just the words that I remember using quite a bit. And that's what I do quite a bit now. When they say, "Hey, Corey, we got a problem." All right, let's talk about it. So let's make an assessment of the issue. Let's go take a look at it. And those are just basic things in terms of how it's helped me. So where am I now? I'm just a better project manager now, as a matter of fact.
I would say the same for me. Just being more organized, and trying to look at the big picture, thinking about things that might happen, like any sort of risks, and taking on a new project. So yeah, I feel like I'm just a better project manager professional as a result of taking the PMP. Again, it was something that I had wanted to do for many years and I had been putting it off. So I'm happy that I have the certification. I'm a little behind on my PDUs.
Yeah,
So I need to get those up. But it's not something that I enjoy the work. So even taking any of the, courses to keep the PDUs is I don't mind because there are things that I want to stay current on. I want to learn things that are going to help me be a better project manager. So there's a lot of stuff out there now about AI and how we can leverage it as
yeah,
project managers. So I'm just a better project manager as a result,
yeah,
which was the
Yeah.
goal.
yeah,
Uh-huh. And just for the sake of time, I'm gonna say ditto. Same here. I am, doing what I've always been doing, which is a combination of teaching and curriculum development management. But new project just dropped in my lap this year, and so I'll be, continuing to manage, curriculum development, but also better in the sense of I have that. I still have that integration scope, schedule, cost, quality, resource.
Okay.
All those little categories that y'all studying, and which you
Okay.
may not do. I'm just gonna say
Yeah.
integration scope, schedule, cost, quality, resource, communication, risk, and the rest of it, right? So I'm not following all of that per se, but I feel it's always in my head. Like, okay, am I doing this in the right order?
Yeah. Very
You know,
good.
not necessarily buy the book all the time, but it
Right.
does really, really help.
Yeah.
Um, and then PDUs, I'm trying to do 20 a year. Um,
Mhm.
Shout out to Wendy
Mhm.
for pushing me and Corey to get our certified Scrum Master,
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So right after we got our PMP,
Yeah.
uh, you know, we were asking Wendy all these questions because she already had her CSM.
Mhm.
So we were like, yeah, is it worth it? Should we get
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have mine, Corey got his, and
Yeah.
yeah.
It was very similar. So it was
Mhm.
great to do it right after. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
nothing like taking the PMP
No,
Oh
exam.
no.
no, no,
Oh
Let's
no.
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 Trust.
level set on a
Like
whole
that.
nother level. So
Yeah.
the
Oh,
PMP is
no.
way more intense,
Yeah.
way more involved, way more information that you need to be aware of
Right.
than the CSM.
Yeah. The CFSIM you did at home, it's kind of open book too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So let's see. Did everybody go? Yep.
Yeah.
Did okay.
So
Somebody's next.
yeah, so it's now we want to talk about where do you want to be a year from now? So we did the exam 2024. We're here at 2025. By 2026, where do we want to be? Who's going to go now? What
I
do you
I mean, I could go on
go
that
ahead,
one.
Yeah.
Wendy?
Well, I need to have more PDUs
Yeah.
because my intention is never to let my certification lapse because I don't have a desire to have to take the exam again if I can avoid it. So definitely going in, getting some more PDUs and continuing to advance in my professional career. That's it.
Mhm.
Same here. Keep working on the PDUs. And the fact that we have our CSM, we have to keep working on credits for that as well.
I think that's every 2
Oh
years.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
something like that. And the good thing is, I think you can use both.
That's
Like,
right. I was going to say
you
that.
do it
Yeah.
for CSM, you can report it for
Yep.
same for
Yeah.
PMI. Um, and then I'm looking forward. One thing I'm really looking forward to is mentoring other
Mhm.
Aspiring
people who
PMP.
really, really, really want to get their PMP. So that's, you know, a big part of the passion
Yeah.
behind this video, behind pmpstudygroups.com,
Mhm.
studygroup.com. And so yeah, we're all looking forward to mentoring, and
Yeah.
that's my passion.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll piggyback on that, Fia. That's a good point. So it's good that if we were able to do this, it's helping us, and that's great. But if you have it in you to help someone else, that's even better. And I would love it to by next year we're talking this way about some other folks. Maybe this is not just us on the call. Maybe there's some other folks talking about how it's helped them as well. So, but I'd also say that I want to get some more PDUs. And that's important we got to have 60 in 3 years. And I'm pretty good where I am now. So I just want to kind of get some more of those. But ultimately, I just want to be a better professional. I want to use these tools to help me to kill it at work, you know?
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. And did everybody go?
Yeah.
hmm
Okay. And Wendy.
So if you are an aspiring PMP, look out for more information so that you can join our next cohort. As mentioned, this is a free thing that we're doing just because we want to give back and support people that are really committed and serious about passing the exam. So make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. And if you'd like more information, you can go to pmpstudygroup.com.
Yay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yay, we did it.
yes.
Good time. Come on. Ah, all right, y'all. We're gonna sign off. Corey, did you want to say anything else?
Um,
Well,
I don't want to say anything except I hope to see you in our next cohort, and let's do this together. I think that the together is what we could say was one of the biggest assets is how we work together. So hope to
yeah,
see you soon.
absolutely. All right. All right. Thank you both for
Bye,
joining.
everybody. See ya.
All of you who are in the audience commenting, thank you. I'm looking forward to reading your comments. And we're done.